opening comments, or do you just want to open it up for any questions?
All I have to say is Tyson Fury and I repeated what his game plan was going to be. Maybe the other side thought we were fooling and trying to throw him off. But that was the game plan. We told you the game plan. Tyson Fury executed the game plan to perfection, and he knocked out Wilder in the 7th round. It was all laid out in front of you guys. We can't say you didn't know what he was going to do.
There was a lot of people that thought that maybe he was just saying that and then he was going to go in there and box, but it seemed like from the opening bell he imposed his will. He used that weight, heavy-handed jabs, landing the power punches from round 1 on.
Because when he told me what his game plan was, I told him that's the absolute best game plan. You don't fight a puncher dancing away and boxing him for 12 rounds. Because if you do it, you're playing with fire, and at any time you can get hit by the puncher's best punch, and that's lights out. What you gotta do is jump on the puncher, tire him out, take him into waters where he's tired, try to knock him out, and if you can't, he won't be able to hurt you in the later rounds. And that's what Tyson Fury did, and that's how he won the fight.
You've been a part of some historic fights. Where does kind of the build-up, the lead-up, the atmosphere, and then the fight itself kind of land in historical context for you in your career? Where does this fight rank for you, Bob, in your career? I mean, in terms of the build-up was tremendous, the outpouring, the crowd, the fight itself, where does it kind of rank for you in your career?
Well, it was certainly one of my memorable events, particularly in the heavyweight division. Muhammad Ali, his various fights with Frazier and Norton, great George Foreman knocking out Michael Moore at age 45 to reclaim the heavyweight title, and now, lo and behold, Top Rank has another heavyweight champion. So absolutely, I feel great, but this may be the second most memorable fight for me of the year, because I look out over there and I see Teofimo Lopez, and in May he's going to fight a great fighter from the Ukraine, Vasily Lomachenko, and that's going to be a tremendous fight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're going to open it up here for some questions for you guys until we're waiting for Tyson. Let me ask you one more question, Bob. Do you want to go, if it's up to you, because obviously you have a big hand in this, do you want to see a third fight with Deontay Wilder, or do you want to move on to another opponent for Tyson Fury?
The question is not for me to answer. The question is directed to Deontay Wilder.
30 days, right?
Yeah, he can opt out of a third fight now and get himself together and maybe do it again next year. In which case, Tyson Fury will keep himself busy with other opponents. If Deontay Wilder wants to go ahead with the third fight, that's what the contract says, and we honor contracts.
All right, does any of the media have a question for Bob? If you want to raise your hand, we have some floating mics. We'll have them brought to you. You guys ready? The mics? All the way in the back.
Hi Bob. Bob, could you just...
You have to speak loudly. We can't hear you too well up here. And I have 2 good ears. Go ahead.
Come on, guys.
Test.
Bob, could you just sum up how good that performance was in your experience by Tyson Fury and where he ranks among all those great fighters you've just listed?
Well, obviously, we've never seen a guy of this size with that ability. So, you know, when I look back at Muhammad and George Foreman, two of my favorite champions, they were big guys for their time, but, you know, they're very, very small. Ali was barely 5'3", and George was barely 6'3", and George was barely 6'4". This guy is monstrous at 6'9", so how he would have done against those two guys, I mean, I don't know, and we'll never know, but we can imagine, and your imagination is as good as mine.
Next question.
Hey, Bob.
Back there.
Hey, Cameron Buford, LA News Observer. Can you elaborate on the strategy coming into the fight to being the aggressor? And then, were you surprised that there wasn't really a response on Wilder's part?
Look, we told everybody that the only way, or the best way to beat Deontay Wilder was to jump on him, overwhelm him, hurt him early, keep hurting him, hope to knock him out in the middle rounds, and if you don't, weaken him enough so you could coast to a victory. That was the strategy, and that strategy worked. Tyson Fury is naturally the bigger man. He throws a very, very hard punch. Maybe not as hard a punch as Wilder's right hand, but if you press the action, the guy can't get off that right hand to hurt you, and then he's too weak to do any damage.
Looks like Tyson Fury's making his way in. Both JDs and Shelly Fingo available for questions as well.
Hey, Bob.
Back there.
Bob, given...
Go ahead.
Bob. Hey, Bob, given the success of the live gate, and it seems like the pay-per-view is probably going to do pretty strongly too, how open are you to, you know, the increased frequency of these cooperations with BBC, Fox, and ESPN? How often do you think this will happen, you know, as big fights present themselves in the future?
Well, on our side, we're certainly open to it. BBC was a great partner of ours. Everybody from BBC worked very hard, along with my people, and the cooperation and the effort of both Fox and ESPN was outstanding. So as I said, I'd have to be a fool not to welcome that to the future.